This presentation is on longevity and health span. And longevity and health span really focus on how long you're going to live and how long you're healthy while you're alive. So longevity is how long you live, and health span is how healthy you are while you're alive. And the two key concepts to remember while discussing this is, one, the body is a self-healing organism, and two, the body needs specific resources to function as a self-healing organism. So the first thing we're going to talk about are just the 5 factors of health. Our diet, and these are the 5 factors of health that we can influence, right? So our diet, rest, repair, exercise, movement, our autonomic nervous system, the functioning of the control system of the body, and our mental health. And these 5 factors of health, spelled DREAM, you can see D-R-E-A-M, DREAM, and we call it the DREAM pyramid. All right, so DREAM, longevity, and health span pyramid. Let me bring this up here, and we're going to get going. All right. So the first part of this is the base and foundation of the DREAM pyramid is the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system regulates all of our involuntarily body processes. This includes our heart rate, our blood pressure, our respiration, our digestion, our temperature regulation, our sex organs, our kidneys, our bladder, and more. Everything in the body that we don't think about that's working is regulated by the autonomic nervous system. And overall, its primary responsibility, the primary responsibility of the autonomic nervous system, is to keep our body in balanced function. Whenever our needs change, our body function changes to meet our needs. And it's also responsible for healing and rest and repair, as well as fight or flight. There are 4 pillars of the DREAM pyramid. And we're going to go over those 4 pillars in a moment, but this is a concept that helps us understand the 4 basic pillars. So we can't slow down our birthdays, right? We can't slow down every revolution around the sun, but we can slow down the degeneration that accompanies the passage of time. As we get older, we expect it to degenerate, but that doesn't have to happen at a specific pace. So by changing our lifestyle, we can improve the 4 basic pillars of aging and influence how our body does change over time. The first one we can influence is our diet. And your diet should be customized to your specific body. We're each an N of 1. We all function a little bit differently, and our diet should be customized to us. We want to have an abundance of healthy foods and avoid damaging foods. We want to focus on our macronutrients, our fat, our protein, our carbohydrates, the quality, the source, the quantity, the ratio, and our micronutrients, our vitamins, minerals, and cofactors. And all this together is where we call it our diet. The second part, the second pillar, is our rest and repair and rejuvenation, rebuilding. This is part of our sleep. This is when we repair damaged tissues, we build new tissue, we recover our energy, and we can restore our mental focus. We also have our exercises, our strength training, building muscle, cardiovascular endurance, our flexibility, our range of motion, our movement, our posture, our alignment, our balance, the hardness of the body. Can we take an injury or a fall, or are we very fragile? And all this is associated with our exercise and our training. And then the 4th component is our mental health. And this is our focused mindset. This is our appropriate decision making, our sense of purpose, having a community, having peers or people around us, having healthy thought patterns. And each of these are influenced and influence each other. For instance, you can't have good, adequate rest if your diet isn't doing well. If you're not in a good, healthy mental place, if your mental health isn't in a good spot, we might not be eating well. And if we're not resting well, we don't have the energy to exercise. And all these are intertwined in one another, and they all affect and build upon the autonomic nervous system. And the 4 pillars, as you can see here, we have diet, rest, exercise, and mental health are the 4 pillars. And our autonomic nervous system function is regulated by our lifestyle choices that influence these 4 pillars of health. So together, this is why we call it the DREAM pyramid, because they all interact with one another to keep us healthy and rebuild and repair. Right? So there are 3 mechanisms of change. So once we've gotten a good, healthy DREAM pyramid going, we're doing those things that we need, we can expect the body to begin to change. Right? So the first step toward improved lifespan and health span is a customized diet, rest, exercise, mental health. And this creates a change in your internal environment through autonomic nervous system regulation. And this primes your system for the next phase of health. And the next phase of health, the first part, is hormesis activation. Now, hormesis is when we expose the body to a non-damaging stress. For instance, sunlight, UV light, exercise, a cold plunge, right? So these are non-damaging stresses. If we went too much, it would damage the tissue, but we stop before we create any tissue damage. This stressor creates an epigenetic change. So what happens is our DNA expression creates an epigenetic change. In other words, these stressors turn on genes that make proteins for rebuilding and repairing. So the stress of UV light turns on proteins that make melanin, make my skin darker, so I can resist more UV light. If I'm lifting weights, the stress on the muscle of weightlifting creates an epigenetic change, or unlocks DNA changes that make my muscle bigger so I can lift more weight, right? And this is really an adaptive healing response at a cellular level. So through our action, through our diet, through our exercise, through our rest, through our mental health activities, we will engage in non-damaging stresses and activate hormesis, which builds a healthier body. We also will expect and anticipate and engage in those same activities that will cause a reduction in inflammation. So by changing our lifestyle and influencing our diet, rest, exercise, and mental health, activating our autonomic nervous system, we should expect to see a detoxification of inflammatory compounds. We should have a reduced cellular mediated inflammation and an overall improved immune function. When our cells are having to deal with bad lifestyle choices, toxins coming in, a sedentary lifestyle, not enough exercise, poor mental health, not enough rest, we create inflammatory change in our body. We know that actually visceral fat is inflammatory. It's an inflammatory organ. We know that cells, as they become damaged over time and they lose normal function, they create inflammatory chemicals that they release into the surrounding environment. So by healing our cells, we reduce inflammation. By healing our cells, we heal ourselves. We also should expect to see a gut microbiome improvement. Now, we have trillions and trillions and trillions of bacteria living on and in us. And these bacteria, when they're in a good balanced fashion, they're going to help our body. When they're in imbalanced fashion, it's going to cause negative changes in our body. And by balancing our gut microbiome, we should expect to see overall body health improvement. And we can balance it through, again, our diet, our rest, our exercise, our mental health, and activating our autonomic nervous system. And by improving our gut microbiome, we're going to be actively removing any damaging microbiome, any damaging organisms, bacteria, fungus in the gut. We want to build up healthy gut bacteria and restore a gut microbiome balance. And this is a key term, balance, because the balance between the body, the nervous system in the gut is well documented. The balance between our thought process in our gut, our sleep in our gut, our overall digestion in our gut, and then the different organisms that are in our gut should have specific ratios. And everybody is different. Your balance is different from someone else's. But the nature of your microbiome balance is going to build better health. And this really brings us to the next step of the pyramid, where we should expect to see some changes that influence our two primary goals. Now, these small lifestyle changes, our diet, our rest, our exercise, our mental health, built upon the autonomic nervous system base, will make changes and improvements in our physiology. And then our first primary goal that we should see change when we have these actions is our lifespan. Right? So increased longevity. We're going to live a longer life. And the goal here is not to just live a longer life, but to live a longer life that's healthier. We have increased vitality. We have increased energy. We have increased movement patterns. We feel better. We're able to do more for longer. I don't want to live a long life if I'm stuck to a wheelchair. I want to live a longer life if I'm, one of my goals is when I'm 80, I'd like to be able to hike through the national parks. When I'm 90, I'd like to be able to compete in the Senior Olympics. If I can do those activities, I don't expect to set any world records hiking through the park. I don't expect to win any gold medals in the Senior Olympics. But if I competed in the Olympics today, I could swim. I could bike. I could run. I could throw a javelin. I could play golf in the Olympics. I could do it. I wouldn't be good enough to medal, but these are things that I could do. So I'd like to be able to maintain that. Not say when I'm 72, like, oh, I can't go on vacation with you guys. I'm too beat up. We want to have a healthier life. And when we do that, the result is you look better, you feel better, and you function better. And I deal with hundreds of people a week. I see thousands and thousands of people a year, thousands of new patients every year. And every single person that I meet wants to look better, feel better, and function better. And if you're watching this, I can assure you, you are somebody who wants to look better, feel better, and function better. And by doing simple activities, we can expect those results. And by doing these simple activities day by day, you will continue to age. Here's a depressing thought. Today, right now, at this moment, you're as old as you've ever been and you're as young as you'll ever be. But your choices today will determine the you of tomorrow. This is the Dream Pyramid, and hopefully it caused you to think about health in a new and different way. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.